Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to learn how to make this beautiful houndstooth stitch bodycon skirt, and it's a perfect match for our previous houndstooth stitch crochet bralette that we made in our previous video. So if you would like to make a matching set, this is a perfect skirt for you. And let's jump right into the materials. Alright guys, for the materials you will need a 4mm crochet hook, and then you'll also need a pair of scissors, a darning needle, a measuring tape, 3 stitch markers, an elastic strand so that your skirt is stretchy, as you'll see later on in the video. And then for the yarn, I'm using Seagull. It is a 4-ply acrylic fingering weight yarn. So this is the yarn that I'm talking about, and I'll be doubling my strand in order to get something as thick as what you have just seen at the beginning of the video. So I'll be using 2 strands of this fingering weight yarn. It's a 4-ply acrylic yarn and it is called Seagull. So if you have any DK weight yarn, something thicker than this, then you don't need to double your strand. And if you have any yarn that recommends a 4mm crochet hook, you can just use that with only 1 strand. All right, so aside from the 4-ply acrylic yarn, I also used a contrasting color to create the houndstooth stitch effect at the base of the skirt. And for this one, I used milk cotton yarn, which is a DK weight yarn. So for this one, you'll notice that within the video, I'll be using 1 strand of yarn to create the houndstooth stitch effect using this color. But when it comes to this one, I used a double strand. So this, I just needed a very little amount, not a full ball. So just have 2 colors of your choice that you need to use for the houndstooth stitch effect. And if you would like the written pattern, it's already available on all my online shops. And let's start our project. The measurements that you will need for this project are your waistline circumference as well as your hip circumference, and then the length of the skirt that you want. So we're going to start off with a chain that can wrap around our waistline circumference where you want your skirt to sit. So for me, that chain should be a total of 28 inches. That is the waistline circumference that I'm considering for this particular design. And the hip circumference that I'm considering is 38 inches. So this is a made to measure design, and you can make it to any size of your choice. I'll just be giving basic and general instructions. So we're going to start off with a slip knot. And we're going to make a chain that can wrap around our waistline without stretching. So just yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and keep doing that until that chain can measure your waistline circumference. Alright guys, I ended up with a total of 120 chains, and if I'm to get my measuring tape and I measure this chain, it should give me my waistline circumference without stretching. So as you can see here, we're going all the way until about 28 inches. But when stretched, we can stretch up to around 35 inches, but make sure you make a chain that's your waistline circumference without stretching. So you're going to make sure that your chain is not twisted. Make sure your chain is not twisted. That's by making sure the braided part is always at the top while running your finger across the chain. And you're going to go into the very first chain that you made with a slip stitch. So insert your hook and pull through all. Yarn over and pull through all. So that will create a ring, and this should be your waistline circumference. So bring back your measuring tape just to make sure you're on the right path. And when you measure across this ring, you should be having half of your waistline circumference. As you can see here, I have a total of 14 inches, which is half of 28. So approximately 14 inches, because we're considering this side and the other side. So we're going to go ahead and start working round 1. For round 1, you're going to just make a chain of 1, and we're going to make half double crochet stitches. So yarn over into the same exact chain, insert your hook, pull up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. I have 6 because I'm using a double strand, but if you're using a single strand, you should definitely have a total of 3 loops on your hook. And then yarn over and pull through all. That's a half double crochet in the US terms. So you're going to go into each and every chain, yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all. So you're going to repeat this all the way around your chain. 1 half double crochet in each and every chain. So this is what you will have. This is how the half double crochet stitch will look like. You're going to do that all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the beginning of the round. All right, so we're coming to the end of the round, and I'm placing my very last half double crochet stitches. So this is the very last one, and I'm placing 1 half double crochet into the last chain. And from here, we're not going to create a seam line for this project. So you're going to just make sure this is in the middle section, just like this. And you're going to get 2 stitch markers. I have mine here, a pink one and a blue one. Unfortunately, they don't look the same. So you're just going to place your work like this, and you're going to mark 2 side stitches, any 2 on the sides of the project. So I have this one, and then I'll also mark this one. Just choose any 2 stitches on the sides of your project. And from here, we're going to just keep going in rounds and rounds without turning, without creating a seam line, without slip stitching. Note that, because for this project, we are not going to do that. If you would like, you can also get a stitch marker if you want to keep track of where your row starts from. You're going to go into the very first half double crochet that you made with a half double crochet. So yarn over. This is the end of the row, but we are starting the next row by placing a half double crochet into the very first half double crochet, just like that. And then if you want to keep track of which stitch is the beginning of the row, you're going to just place a stitch marker into that very first half double crochet of the row or round, because we are working in rounds and we are not turning our work to work in the opposite direction of the previous round. We're just going in one direction all the way around. So this stitch marker here marks the very first stitch, and make sure you don't forget the color that you used to mark the beginning of the round, and you don't mistake it with these ones on the side, because when you get to these points, you are doing something totally different from what we do here. So make sure you take note. For me, the red one marks the beginning of the round. Then the other ones are the points where we're going to start increasing our project. And since we've considered the waistline circumference for the starting chain, the foundation chain of our project, that means this piece has to get increases in order to accommodate the hip circumference. So keep working half double crochets in each and every stitch until you get to your side stitch marker. The side stitch markers are these 2 that we placed on the sides, the blue one and the pink one. So just keep working half double crochet stitches, 1 in each and every stitch until you reach the stitch that has a stitch marker, just like that. Now this is the stitch with a stitch marker. You're going to remove it, and then you're going to place 2 half double crochets into that stitch, just like that, 2 of them, and that means we've created an increase, and you're going to mark the first half double crochet, and then you're going to continue with 1 half double crochet in each and every stitch until you get to your next stitch marker. So we've reached our next stitch marker. You're going to remove it and place 2 half double crochets into the same stitch where the stitch marker was, and then you mark the very first half double crochet that you placed, just like that. And then you're going to half double crochet in each and every stitch once until you get to the beginning of the round. So you're going to go all the way. Remember, the red stitch marker is where our round starts from. So you're going to just go all the way across until you get to this point, and I'll show you what to do from there. All right, so we've reached the stitch before the red stitch marker that marks the beginning of the round. So we're going to remove it, and into that stitch that had the red stitch marker, you're going to place a half double crochet, and this is the very first half double crochet of this new round. So you mark it with the red stitch marker and then keep going. So you'll notice that we are not creating any seam lines at the back or on the sides of the skirt. And this project is worked in only one direction. No seam lines, no slip stitches. You just keep working in half double crochet rounds and you will see what effect that is created eventually. So half double crochet. Now we're going to repeat round 2 because we're still increasing. So exactly what we did for round 2 is what we are trying to do right now for round 3. And that's the round that you're going to keep repeating again and again until your piece can stretch to half of your hip circumference. So when you get to the stitch marker, the stitch before the stitch marker, you're going to remove the stitch marker from here and then place your 2 half double crochets in the stitch that had the stitch marker, just like that. And then you mark the very first half double crochet of the 2 half double crochets you just placed. And then keep working half double crochet stitches all the way across until you get to the next stitch marker. And then create an increase just like we've done here, and then wind up your round the same exact way that we did for round 2. So I'm going to keep on working, and you can see how our work is increasing towards the side. You may not see it right now, but our intention is to increase the sides of our project in order to accommodate the hip circumference. So I'm going to keep working a few rounds and I'll meet you back when this can stretch to half the hip circumference of the person I'm making for. So the hip circumference that I'm considering for this project is 38 inches. That's the hip circumference. So that means I should be able to get a total of 19 inches across when stretched. So get half of your hip circumference. That's where you're going to stop working this particular round, and then we shall go on to the next step. Alright guys, after just working a total of 6 rounds, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, this is what we have, and you can see how our piece is slanting. That's because we are creating increases at the 2 points that we marked on the side. You'll see your work looking like this, and then you're going to keep using your measuring tape. Remember, our aim is to have this measurement to be half of our hip circumference when stretched. So you can see we have a total of 19 inches, but when fully stretched, if you want it to be so tight, it goes even up to 20 inches just after a total of 6 rounds. And the moment you get that, for me, I have 17 inches. When I stretch it, it goes to 19 inches. And remember, I'm considering a hip circumference of 38 inches. So 38 divided by 2 is 19. So once I achieve my 19 inches across, it's time for us to stop increasing. So we're going to remove the stitch markers for the increase points. Just remove this one and this one. But don't remove the one that marks the beginning of the round if you're very, very accurate and you want to be very perfect with your stitching. So once you remove your stitch markers from here, you're going to now have only one stitch marker, the one that marks the beginning of each round. So after round 6, you're going to remove the stitch marker from the very first round, from the very first stitch, and then into that stitch you're going to place 1 half double crochet, just like that, and then mark the very first stitch of round 7 or whatever round that you're on at this point. And then you're going to just keep working around without placing any increases. The moment you remove the stitch markers, then stop increasing. Just go into each and every stitch with only 1 half double crochet all the way around until you come back to the beginning of the round. And when you get here, just remove the stitch marker and then mark the first stitch of the new round, and then keep working around and around and around. So let me just go ahead and finish up this round. We are placing only 1 half double crochet in each and every stitch. This round has no increases at all, so just place 1 half double crochet in each and every stitch until you come to the beginning of the round, and I'll meet you back at that point. So we've come to the end of the non-increase round, and we're placing our very last stitches. Just placing 1 half double crochet in each and every stitch until you place a half double crochet in the stitch before the one with the stitch marker. So this is the round that we are going to keep repeating from now on until we get the length. And you can see the slight change in direction of the skirt. Remember, we were still increasing this side, but once you change that, you can see how the piece has started moving straight down. That's because we have stopped creating the increases on the side, just as you can see on this side as well. So just keep marking the very first stitch of the round and keep working 1 half double crochet in each and every stitch all the way around until you get the length of the piece that you want. And then another thing that I forgot to mention is you see the effect of the half double crochet stitch. When you don't turn, it creates a very, very neat finish, and it also looks like a single crochet of some sort, but it's a half double. When you don't turn it, then it creates this beautiful, more like a compact stitch that's not so see-through. And I hope you like it. If you've learned something new from this video so far, please make sure you comment down below and give me your opinion about this stitch. Will you be able to use it for other projects, or let me know if you like the stitch already. So let me just go ahead and work my piece until I get the length that I desire, and then I'll be back to show you what to do next. Alright guys, look what we have. Look at that rich texture, guys. I ended up doing a total of 40 rounds, and this gave me a length of about 14 inches, as you can see here. The length of my skirt is 14 inches, and I have a total of 40 rounds. So I have come to the end of the 40th round, and once you finish your very last stitch, your stitch marker, I've already removed mine, but it was supposed to be here in this next stitch. So instead of now placing a half double crochet and marking it with a stitch marker, once you get the length of the skirt that you want, you're going to just go into that stitch that would have gotten the first half double crochet of the next round and you're going to place a slip stitch. Just pull through all, and then you're going to make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn and fasten off, just like that. So we've ended our project on round 40, but you can go as long as you wish depending on the length of the skirt that you want for yourself. So you're going to get a darning needle and you weave in this tail. Just go to the back of the skirt and weave in the tail. Make sure it's secure enough. And then you're going to get a pair of scissors and cut off the excess yarn. For this project, you only have 2 loose ends, the one at the beginning and the one at the end. Make sure you weave in all. Just go to the back of the skirt and weave in your tails properly. All right, so this is what we have right now. This is the top of the skirt, and then the increases, and then we managed to achieve the length of the skirt that we want, which was a total of 14 inches. Get rid of all the loose ends on your skirt. And let's go on to the next step. All right, guys, now the next thing is to introduce your elastic strand. So I have mine here, and you're going to make sure it is 6 inches less than your waistline circumference. So for me, the waistline circumference that I'm considering is 28. 28 minus 6 is 22. So make sure your elastic strand is 6 inches approximately less than your waistline circumference. And if yours is thicker, then you're going to just sew it together, but mine is quite thin, so I just make a triple knot. I just make a secure knot in order for it to appear to be in a round. And then I cut off the excess strand. From here, I'm going to use this elastic strand to fit it into the top part of the skirt. Remember the waistline circumference? You're going to grab your hook and your yarn. And we're going to start. I'm going to start off at the back of the skirt where I have that, where I had the tail, where I started my project. And I'm going to work single crochet stitches in between the half double crochet stitches of round 1. So in the spaces between the stitches, that's where I'm going to be placing the single crochet stitches, but also working around the elastic strand so that we have an elastic sort of waistband. All right, so insert your hook in between any 2 stitches and then place your elastic strand on top of the hook, and then grab your loop of the working yarn, just like that, and then pull through. So we're going to start working all the way around while working around the elastic strand. So into the space, you're going to place a single crochet and continue to single crochet in between each and every stitch. We're just going into the spaces between the half double crochet stitches. And as we work, we are weaving in this elastic strand. So keep working, 1 single crochet in between the half double crochet stitches. Just like that. And when you feel like it's not enough, just keep pulling on the elastic strand a little bit. You'll see your skirt trying to pull together to create that beautiful effect. So you see what this is creating? As you keep working, keep pulling on the elastic strand a little bit, because you can see it stops here and it has to literally go all the way around. So that means it's going to bring in the waistline circumference a little bit so that we have something that looks like this, which is really pretty. So go all the way around. I'll meet you back towards the end. Alright guys, so when you make it all the way to the beginning of the round, you're going to just slip stitch into the very first single crochet of the round, and you're going to make a chain of 1, and you're going to cut your yarn, pull through, and weave in this tail. So you can see what we have created. I have 2 tails here. I'm going to just go ahead and make a double or a triple knot at the back of the project, or on the wrong side of the project, and I'll cut off the excess yarn. But if you want to use a darning needle, please go ahead and do that. So you can see how well fitted our piece is, and you can even go ahead and hide this a little bit if you can, or continue to cut off the excess of the elastic strand so that it doesn't pop out like this. Okay, so this is what we have right now. You can see how stretchy our waistband is. And we're now going to go on to the next step. All right, so after attaching your elastic strand into the waistband of the skirt, the next thing is to introduce your contrasting color, or whichever color that you decided to use at the bottom of your skirt to create that houndstooth stitch effect. So for me, this is the mint green, and it's going to match the vibe of my bralette. If you haven't yet checked out the bralette tutorial, make sure you do so that you can have a matching set. So this is totally optional. You can leave the skirt plain, but I chose to introduce this houndstooth stitch at the base of the skirt in order to match the vibe of the top. So you're going to grab your yarn and 4mm crochet hook, and we're going to attach our yarn in a way that we are working in the opposite direction of the previous round. So attach your yarn in any stitch, and then single crochet into the next stitch, the same stitch where you attached your yarn, and then double crochet into the next, single crochet into the next, and double crochet into the next. So that's all that we are going to do for this round. Just keep alternating between the 2 stitches all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the beginning of the round. So into the next stitch, you're going to just place a single crochet, and then into the next, a double crochet. All right, so we are coming to the end of the round, and I'm placing a single crochet into the second last stitch and a double crochet into the very last stitch. If you don't end with 2 stitches, or if you see that you're not going to end with a double crochet, just squeeze it somewhere, because our round should end with a double crochet into the last stitch. So from here, you're going to slip stitch into the very first single crochet of the round. And this is the very first round of introducing the houndstooth stitch. So from here, you're going to just pull your loop like this and then leave it behind. And then you're going to get your former color, or your primary color of the skirt. This is the green color that I have. And then you're going to turn your work so that you're working in the opposite direction of the previous round. And then you're going to attach into the double crochet right after the loop that you've left behind. So attach your yarn into that double crochet, and then single crochet into the same exact stitch. Make sure you're working in the opposite direction of the previous round. And then double crochet into the next single crochet, single crochet into the next double crochet, and you're going to repeat this all the way around, alternating between double crochet and single crochet. all the way around, and I'll meet you back towards the end of my second round of the houndstooth stitch. So you can see how it has started forming already. So I'll meet you back. Don't close up this loop. Leave it like this because we need it for the next round. So just go all the way around and I'll meet you back at this point. All right, so we are coming to the end of our color A. As you can see here, I'm placing a single crochet into the next double crochet, and then a double crochet into the very last single crochet of the previous round. Remember, I mentioned that we end every row. From now on, we end every round with a double crochet. So from here, you're going to slip stitch into the very first single crochet of the round. Make your slip stitch there, and then pull up a loop and leave it behind. Now, the reason why we are doing this is to pick up that loop when we need it, so that we don't have so many loose ends to weave in at the end of the project. So remember that loop that we left behind for color B, which is our secondary color. Make sure you're working in the opposite direction of the previous round. Just turn your work so that you're working in the opposite direction of the previous round. And then go into the double crochet right after the loop that you've left behind for the previous color. So in that double crochet, and then grab that loop, this one that you left behind for color B. So just push it to the other side like that, and then go into the double crochet and grab that loop and pass it through the double crochet like that, and then make a chain of 1 and single crochet into that double crochet, and then continue to double crochet into the next single crochet, single crochet into the next double crochet, double crochet into the next single crochet, and keep alternating between the 2 stitches all the way around, just like that. So I've decided that I'll only have two rounds of my secondary color. So this should be the very last round of this mint green color, just to bring back the houndstooth stitch effect at the base of the skirt and to also match our bralette. So let me just go ahead and keep working this, and I'll meet you back at the beginning of my round and show you what to do. If you decide to make more rounds of this color, please go ahead and repeat the same exact process. You keep alternating between the 2 colors again and again until you get the thickness that you want for this particular stitch. But for me, this should be just enough. I just wanted to create the effect, a little slight effect at the base of the skirt in order to match my bralette. So I'll meet you back at the end of this round and show you what to do next. All right, so we're coming to the end of the round, and as you can see here, oh my god, this looks so beautiful. And I'm going into my next double crochet with a single crochet, double crochet into the next single crochet, single crochet into the next double, and a double into the very last single crochet of the round. And then from here, you are going to make sure the loop is on this side at the front, the loop that you left behind for our previous color. Make sure it's at the front of your work, or the side where you're working right now. Just push it here, and then you are going to slip stitch into the very first single crochet of the round. And since I just want 2 rounds of the contrasting color, I'm going to make a chain of 1 and cut my yarn. This will be it for the mint green shade. At this point I can put it away and then pull through. And now we are left with the main color, which is this one. It's still attached. Just turn your work onto in a way that you're working in the opposite direction of the previous round. So you can see I'm working in the opposite direction of the previous round. And now I'm going to insert my hook into the double crochet stitch right after the tail. If you're going ahead to continue to work some more rounds of the contrasting color, this will be the double crochet right after the loop that you've left behind, because for you, you'll still be carrying along this color for more rounds. So into the double crochet, and then I'm going to grab that loop of the contrasting color and then pull it through the double crochet, make a chain of 1, and then single crochet into the double crochet, just like that. This will be my final round. I'm not going to over exaggerate the houndstooth stitch. So after my single crochet, I'm going to go into the next single crochet with a double crochet, single crochet into the next double, double into the next single, and I'm going to just repeat that all the way around until I make it to the end of the round, and I'll meet you back at this point. So remember, I've told you that this is my last round, so I'm just going to go all the way around. And one thing that I made sure that I did was making sure that I ended with the same exact color at the base of my skirt as my main color of the skirt. So, but you can do you if you feel like you need to end with a contrasting color or the lighter shade. That's really up to you. But for me, just to keep it uniform, I'm ending with the main color of my skirt. So let me go all the way around and I'll meet you back at the beginning of my final round. All right, so we're coming to the end of our round, and I'm placing a double crochet in the last single crochet of the round, and then slip stitching into the very first single crochet of the round. Then make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn. Pull through. And then you're going to make sure that all your tails are on the wrong side of the skirt. Now at this point you can decide whether to tie a knot to get rid of the loose ends or to use a darning needle to get rid of the loose ends. Either way, that should be fine because this is the wrong side of the work, and just make sure you're neat enough. If it's the wrong side of the work, doesn't mean you just have to be shabby and disorganized. Just make sure it's decent enough. If you're to use a darning needle, just weave in your ends properly. And just go ahead to weave in all your tails on your skirt. And this is exactly what we have at the base of our skirt. And this is going to be a perfect match for our crochet houndstooth stitch bralette. As you can see here, I feel like this is a perfect match for our top, and let's see the final look of both the pieces together. So this marks the end of this tutorial. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to check out the written pattern. If you're going to give a try to the bralette as well, please make sure you do, because this matching set is very, very beautiful. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Keep in motion.